Hey there, everybody. With the new steelsong deck that utilizes Gaston as well as a bunch of characters with 3 willpower rather than 2, I think that steelsong has become more powerful and more popular in the metagame. And so stocks for a deck like Blue Steel, which absolutely crushes steelsong, have never been higher. And I think this is a good time to give a deck like this a shot. So the main idea behind a deck like this is to play a ramp spell early, like Mickey Mouse, or ideally Fishbone Quill, and occasionally something like Belle, and then play an early expensive character like Cogsworth, Beast, Gaston, or Tinkerbell, which then you can use to sing a whole new world after emptying your hand. And then you just sort of beat up on people by virtue of having just a really, really powerful late game. You have things like Cinderella and Hades and Tinkerbell, Gaston, Beast, and Cogsworth, all as really powerful late game plays, and you can often get so much ink off the back of Fishbone Quill that you can play multiple of these in a turn, and then you empty your hand and you do it again. And so a deck like this, it's similar to the Pawpsicle deck in that it just has an extremely, extremely potent endgame, and you can really, really overpower any mid-range decks if you are able to survive that long. So in terms of surviving that long, you've got Prince Eric, 4 copies of Prince Eric to control the board in the early game, as well as I've got 1 copy of Cinderella here. You could play more copies of Cinderella. And then you've got a removal suite of 3 Grab Your Sword, 3 Let It Go. I'm playing Force Smash. I chose to play Force Smash over the other removal spells primarily just because 3 willpower is so important right now, and I just don't want to have to rely on having a board for something like Strength of a Raging Fire, and doing 2 damage with Let the Storm Rage on just doesn't seem like enough a lot of the time. And obviously you have Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell plus Grab Your Sword is a really important play right now. And then beyond that, to get out of the early game, your goal is to just do it quickly by ramping. Yeah, beyond that, I have chosen to play 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, which is maybe a unique choice in this deck. I think most people are not playing Develop Your Brain. But the reason I chose to do it is primarily because this is a deck that doesn't really do a lot on turn 1. You've got Pawpsicle, and Pawpsicle here is here, of course, to pair with Flaversham as a really potent draw engine. But other than Pawpsicle, you're not doing anything with your turn 1 ever, and Develop Your Brain is just sort of a free card that thins your deck, basically makes you play, a 56 card deck, and because it lets you see 2 cards, it just increases the chances that you have a Fishbone Quill. I think the biggest problem that this deck suffers from is that if you don't have Fishbone Quill, the deck is not very good. If you play a turn 3 Fishbone Quill, this is one of, if not the best deck in the format, and if you don't play a Fishbone Quill on turn 3, it is substantially worse than that. So I think having something like Develop Your Brain to just do on turn 1 makes you a little bit more consistent. Also, because Fishbone Quill results in you inking a really massive number of cards per game, you can play small numbers of techie cards, like 2 copies of Benja or 1 copy of Pick a Fight, pretty easily, because you're going to ink so many cards, and because you can ink literally any card. You can just sort of throw those things in there, and if they're good, you can play them. If not, you need to ink a ton of things anyway. So there's a relatively low opportunity cost, which I think is really, really cool. And as a result of that exact idea, a deck like this often plays maybe an abnormally high number of 1s, 2s, and 3 ofs. I'm playing 1 Cinderella, 1 Mickey, 2 Benja, 2 Gaston, 3 Cogsworth, 2 Flaversham, 3 Hades, 3 Cinderella, which I think this idea is sort of uncommon across a lot of other decks because you just need to have the consistency. But this deck really truly does draw through more than half of its deck in the games where it wins, so you can do things like that because it gives you flexibility, and you're always going to have a ton of options, and you always have to ink a ton of cards anyway. So yeah, I think that's really cool, and a corollary of that thing about the deck is that it's really hard to nail down an exact list of 60 cards that is quote-unquote optimal. Should you be playing Gaston? I don't know. Should you be playing 3 Cinderella? I don't know. Should you be playing 2 Flaversham? I don't know. Should you be playing more Mickey Mouse? Should you be playing 1 Jump Ahead? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Should you play Benja over Judy Hopps? How many of these effects should you play? It's not clear. And I think anyone that tells you that they know with any degree of certainty how many copies of those cards you should be playing. I think they maybe are a little bit overconfident in their own assessment of the format, especially with the speed at which the format has continued to evolve so far this season. But all right, that's the deck, and I'm going to run through a few games for you, and then I have a special treat at the end, which is that Zefa and I actually got on a Discord call and played a bunch of games of Blue Steel versus Ruby Amethyst, where we both played Blue Steel and we both played Ruby Amethyst against each other. And so the last two games in this video will actually be me piloting Blue Steel against Zefa piloting Ruby Amethyst, which I think is really cool. So if you want to see that, please stick around to that point in the video. And if you skip ahead to see that, on your way down to the description where you can click the timestamps, you better like and subscribe on your way. All right, without further ado, let's play some games. All right, we are here playing some Blue Steel on the draw. You really want to find, usually, first and foremost, you want to find Fishbone Quill, which we do not have, but then secondarily, you want to find like a 5-drop that can sing a whole new world and a whole new world. So I'm going to keep Develop Your Brain and Cogsworth and ship everything else. Okay. Pretty awkward hand here. Very little early game. I'm guessing we're up against blue-red, but certainly no guarantee of that. Well, I'm obviously going to take a whole new world. But really what I want to find is a Fishbone Quill. Very awkward. Okay, in this matchup, Cogsworth tends to not be super important, so we can ink that. Mother Gothel. Okay, well, we luckily found a Fishbone. So what I'm going to do is ink Cogsworth, put this Fishbone in play, then ink one of these whole new worlds. Can consider playing Tinkerbell or Beast next turn, depending on what our opponent does. They must be playing like a Gumbo Pot version of this deck. I think at this point I'm going to put Tinkerbell in play most likely, shoot down their Mother Gothel. And now we have the option of seeing a whole new world whenever we want. Flaversham is also a lot less of a threat when you have a whole new world going on. They can draw a bunch of cards, but ultimately they will just lose them all. Okay, second Fishbone, not super important. So what I'm going to do is ink that, ink this, play this, and sing. Alright, and we have another whole new world, which makes me want to just ink even more stuff and go right for that. We're set up pretty well here, I think. Huge ink advantage. We're going to get to play multiple things next turn. Okay, yeah. It's actually interesting what we sacrifice here, and I think the answer might be Beast, in part because I can just sing another whole new world, and I have a backup Beast, but I have access to so many cards as it is, that I think Tinkerbell being able to, like, take out Lady Tremaine and being more threatening to this Flaversham, right, with my second Tinkerbell in hand, that I'm going to sacrifice the Beast. I think that's maybe counterintuitive, could also be wrong, but that's my reasoning. Okay, well, I want to get Belle in play, I think, just because it's the biggest threat. Then Beast. Ink. Honestly, I'll play the Prince Eric. If they have a whole new world, they have, or excuse me, if they have a Be Prepared, they have a Be Prepared. But if they don't, then we are very well set up going forward. Having a flaversham is nice. I do think I want to ink something, but probably not two things. So I'll use the fishbone quill to ink Cinderella so that they can't see what I'm inking. Play this Pawpsicle. And pass. And now we're set up well. They're going to be prepared, which is fine. We can play Flaversham, draw a bunch of cards. We're set up well into that. No. Okay. Well, I don't mind this at all. Oh, excuse me. Well, I'm going to start by drawing with Flaversham, I think. And then we can make our decisions from there. Gaston is nice. I'm going to play Gaston as well. Of these, I'd honestly rather just have the Pawpsicle. But okay, let's take out their board. I'll play a Pawpsicle. Fill up your brain. Because I have backup Pawpsicle for Flaversham and these fishbones that I don't actually care that much about anymore, I'm happy to just protect my Tinkerbell from Hades. Again, trying to force the Be Prepared out of them. Don't see any reason not to just play another Pawpsicle. And I don't really want to commit anything else, so we will pass. Okay, still no Be Prepared, which is great for us. Start by drawing our cards. I don't want to commit too much to the board, but I like putting Benja in play to shoot this dinner bell. I feel like that has the most potential to get crazy for my opponent. Then I think I just want to quest with everything. And I can commit this Mickey. It's not really a big important threat or anything. I'm just going to pass. Playing around Be Prepared to the extent I can. Looks like they maybe finally found it. But okay, we've got plenty of threats to follow up with. I don't want to lose both of my bells to one Be Prepared, so I think something like this maybe makes sense. Cinderella, because I've got all these Hades. But this Prince Eric protects against Lady Tremaine. Got two big threats in play. And then obviously if they have the next Be Prepared, we're ready to build again. Okay. Happy to just play another Hades on that. They're only down 2 Be Prepareds, so I don't think there's any reason to commit anymore. Just keep the pressure on this way, and then when they have it, I can be pretty confident they don't have another, and just go all in then. Okay, they found it. All right. Same game plan. Play this Prince Eric to protect against Lady Tremaine. All right, another Hades. If they manage to find the fourth Be Prepared, we could be in some trouble. That is certainly true. And they found it, unfortunately for us. A bell of their own. But okay, they can't have another one. So we can pretty freely play our stuff here. Just trying to keep an eye on deck totals, see whether mill is in play for me, or whether I need to be worried about getting milled up myself. Okay, so for sure want to remove this. I think I want to remove the flaversham as well. I'm going to put a Cogsworth in play. Quest for 2. If they want to turn my card draw off, they can do that. That's kind of brutal. Oh, that's... Whatever they drew this turn was very good for them. Well, for sure playing this, I should probably shoot this bell down. The question is... And I think I don't quest with Cogsworth this turn. I think I wait one turn. So that I can sack Cogsworth to Lady Tremaine if needed. I don't think anything can punish me for it, because they can't be prepared away the Cogsworth, and if they have Maleficent Dragon, for instance, they could shoot the beast anyway. All right, looks like we take it down. Whew, that was an interesting game. All right, here playing blue steel again on the draw. Not a great hand here. I'm going to keep Develop Your Brain. And Beast, I think, looking for a Fishbone Quill. Could consider keeping Bell as like a Fishbone replacement, but it's kind of not good enough on the draw, I feel. Okay, and we found a Fishbone Quill. So that's good. Now we'll just see what we're up against. Okay, some sort of Steelsong list. Let's see what we find here. Yeah, I mean, I should probably take the Grab Your Sword. I can always ink it off Fishbone if needed. It just tends to be good in this matchup. On some level, you kind of want them to be on the in the deck when they wheel. And because they're on the play, there's a good chance that they'll wheel before I can use this, which is annoying, but in the event that they don't do that, I think you really do just want to have it in hand. Okay. I think like both the Fishbone and second Tinkerbell are getting inked at some point, pretty much guaranteed. So I don't think it matters too much when I ink, or which one I ink, but I guess I will withhold the information that I have Fishbone Quill by not inking one yet. Okay, so they're on a flute list. Which means I have an awkward choice here. of whether or not I play Fishbone or I just smash the Stitch. And I think I should play Fishbone, because if they wheel, at least then I have a Fishbone in play. If they wheel before I play a Fishbone, I have 2 in my hand. It's actually pretty hard for me to get one in the future. Of these cards, I think second smash is probably the least important. I could consider inking a Whole New World. I actually don't think in this situation that I would likely play a Whole New World, so that'll likely be my ink next turn if I get the choice. Okay. Well, now it's certainly easy. My opponent chose not to shift stitch, which makes me think I should probably just play this Grab Your Sword. Obviously, they don't have Rockstar Stitch. They could have Shift Cinderella, and that's actually pretty annoying for me to deal with. So I think I should just make sure that I get this off. And then I'm going to ink a smash, I think. I'm going to hold on to this Whole New World. It could end up being useful. I don't know whether or not I'm going to want it or not yet. Okay, and I was correct. They did have the Shift Cindy, and they play their own Whole New World hardcast. I do need to put on a clock here. It's nice finding a Benja, because these flutes are a problem. Wow, second Benja. That's huge. Okay, well, I think I'm going to play 1 Benja and 1 Beast here. My hand looks pretty good, so I don't think I need Develop Your Brain. So I'm going to ink that. Now we just need to make sure that we don't lose before they're able to leverage their aggressive start here. All right, they turn off our card draw. Annoying, but fine. I think we need to destroy this flute now. Cogsworth tends to be very good against Steelsong. And we start questing. Do we ink anything? I want to hold on to this Grab Your Sword, because they're playing the more traditional flute list, so this tends to be pretty good. I think I'll ink second Fishbone. No need for it. It's nice having some built-in defense against Grab Your Sword here. All right. Bell's a pretty good one. I think I'm going to lead on playing Cinderella just to see what I draw. Gaston. That I like. Wow, I like both these cards so much. Honestly, I think Grab Your Sword is the worst of these. Let's play Gaston. Wow, Wheel's pretty good here too. Yeah. I'll take a Wheel. Ink Bell. Play Wheel. Right on. This is very nice. And a cantrip. May as well do it again. I should ink something. Well, maybe I shouldn't. My hand's pretty good. If I sing this, I can pop a Pawpsicle on my Beast, maybe 2 Pawpsicles on my Beast. Do I need to sing this? I don't think so. I can just do this. I can just battle them. This is pretty free with Cogsworth in play. Okay, and then I'm going to heal up my beast, which sort of forces them to expend some other resource on it to prevent my card draw, and then pass. I like my hand. I should probably actually look at what they lost. Some stuff. They have only one flute left available. Let's grab your sword, starting to look pretty good. And hopefully they don't wheel me. I guess even if they do, I have so much questing pressure in play right now that they're in trouble. Aerial. Finding. Ooh, grab your sword. Luckily, I have a Cogsworth. Okay, that's definitely good. I don't think it'll be good enough, but it's good. They give me a whoops, because, I don't know, maybe they miscounted or thought they didn't have enough damage. They did. Yeah, I'm not sure what the whoops is about, frankly. But okay, let's start here. Definitely doing that. And they just concede. All right, nice. Good game. These next two games I play are a part of a series that I had played with Zefa. We wanted to test the blue-steel matchup against Ruby Amethyst. So we played a series of about 15 games where I played Ruby Amethyst and Blue Steel, and he played Ruby Amethyst and Blue Steel, just to get a feel for the matchup from both sides. In this first game, I ship everything except a Develop Your Brain, desperately looking for a Fishbone Quill. In this matchup, especially on the draw, it's extremely important that you have ramp. If you don't accelerate to the endgame very quickly, you'll just get run over by the Ruby Amethyst deck. We end up with a pretty decent hand with a Fishbone Quill to play on turn 3, as well as a Prince Eric to play early to stem any aggression that might come out of the Ruby Amethyst deck. Oftentimes that's the way you lose these games, is to a quick start from Ruby Amethyst. The first few turns play out pretty much as you would expect. He curves a 1-drop into a 2-drop into a 3-drop, and I play turn 2 Prince Eric into turn 3 Fishbone Quill, setting up a 6-drop on turn 4. Mini can be a real problem for this deck, especially when you're on the draw, but after Zefa plays nothing on turn 4, things start to look up for us. I play Gaston looking for a Grab Your Sword, because Grab Your Sword when paired with Tinkerbell tends to be a one-sided board wipe against Ruby Amethyst, especially in the early game. We don't find it, but I accept Smash as a reasonable consolation prize because it can take out the mini. Zefa once again plays nothing on turn 5, which makes me think he likely has a bunch of uninkables in his hand, and at this point we're firmly in the driver's seat. I play out my hand and wheel away his remaining cards. Zefa plays Maui to take out my Singer, and on my turn I have a long think because unfortunately we wheeled into a pretty weak hand. After playing the first wheel, what you're really looking for is a powerful draw engine in the form of Hiram Flaversham or a second Whole New World. That would allow me to confidently play multiple threats into the face of a Be Prepared, knowing that I would have the resources to rebuild afterward. I choose to just play Cogsworth so that I'm slightly ahead on board and I don't have to ink any of my limited resources. In hindsight, I wish I had either played Beast or Cogsworth plus Bell, because I just don't think the Cogsworth alone is enough of a threat to draw out the Be Prepared. Zefa trades his Maui for my Prince Eric and then follows up with an Ursula, once again putting him ahead on board. I have no choice but to answer this Ursula, but I'm still in this awkward dance of wondering how much I should commit to the board to play around Be Prepared. I decide that using my Hades to take out the Ursula is the best Goldilocks option. Zefa spent some time thinking before committing 2 different Merlins to the board, and at this point I'm pretty convinced that he didn't have Be Prepared in his hand, or he would have played it that turn. I don't have a very good answer to the 2 Merlins he just played, so I decide to just quest with my characters and commit a Cinderella 7-drop to the board. Zefa sings friends on the other side looking for a Be Prepared, and doesn't find it, but he does find a Yzma, which, although it gives me 2 cards when it takes out my Cinderella, actually acts as a really powerful tempo play for him. That plus the spellbook he follows up with really puts me on the back foot, kind of out of nowhere. At this point, I'm pretty much forced to play my steel removal spells plus my beast just to keep up on board. At this point, that spellbook represents inevitability, and if I want to win this game, I'm going to have to win it pretty quickly. Zefa then plays another Ursula to keep the pressure on as his lore continues to tick up with that spellbook. I finally draw a Flaversham, which is the draw engine I've been desperately needing in this mid-game, and I confidently clear his board and put myself back in the lead. Unfortunately, between his draws from the Ursula and Rabbit and turn, he finally finds the Be Prepared that I've spent so many turns playing around. He shuffles a Be Prepared back in with a Broom, and at this point I'm really worried about Goat Bounce Goat winning this game out of nowhere, so when it comes back to my turn, I play every threat I have. Zefa's follow-up is the third Ursula, which luckily I already have an answer in my hand for, but I don't have lethal on board, and at this point Goat plus Amata Mim will spell my doom. He actually does have the goat, and then also chooses to play an Olaf this turn, which we agreed was probably a mistake. He probably should have just used his spellbook, and it almost ends up biting him in the butt when I use my smash to remove the Olaf on my next turn. I quest with Bell and Beast, challenge the Magic Mirror, smash the Olaf, and threaten to win the game on my next turn. Zefa does not have a Madame Mim or another Goat Merlin to win the game on the spot, but he does have a Maleficent Dragon, and with that, I have no way to remove it, and I lose this game. I definitely feel like I could have won this game if I had been more committal in the mid-game, but the problem is it's really hard to walk the tightrope between beating a single Be Prepared and just losing to all the other cards in the Ruby Amethyst deck. In the second game, we're on the play, and I keep just the Mickey as a turn 3 ramp option and ship everything else looking for a whole new world and potentially a Fishbone Quill. We managed to find both, plus a turn 2 Prince Eric and a Beast to sing a whole new world, which is a pretty ideal opening hand. The Prince Eric does a good job of preventing any early aggression out of the Ruby Amethyst deck, and Zefa actually even inks a Magic Mirror on 2, likely because it lines up so poorly against Prince Eric. We play our Fishbone and set up for a turn 4 Beast. Zefa once again has the turn 3 Minnie Mouse, but this time we're on the play and we have a pretty huge tempo advantage and ink advantage at this point. We play out our hand and set up for a whole new world on the following turn. Zefa plays out a Goat Merlin and finally starts to quest. We draw into a Bell, which is actually the perfect play on a turn when we use a whole new world. We draw a new hand, fill up our Inkwell, remove most of his board, and now our deck is firing on all cylinders. One major difference between this game and the last game I showed is that now we have a whole new world in our hand, which means we can easily just commit as much as we want to the board with no fear of Be Prepared. One of the ways you tend to lose this matchup is if the first whole new world doesn't draw you into additional draw resources, you can kind of fizzle out, and that's one reason I might advocate for playing more Flavershams than I had played in this version of my list. Zefa plays a Foxman plus Olaf, but he just doesn't have the ink to play enough cards to catch up. We have so much ink at this point that we can play out our whole hand and wheel again. At this point, we're just trying to apply as much pressure as we can before turn 7, and then set up to beat possibly 2 or even more Be Prepareds. We trade our Cinderella for Goat Merlin, and pass. On his turn, he uses Foxman to trade with our Belle, and plays Lady Tremaine. I choose to sacrifice one of my beasts, specifically because the Tinkerbell plus Smash in our hand actually wipes their whole board. On our turn, we draw into a Hiram Flaversham, which is actually the perfect card to play into a potential Be Prepared, because it immediately replaces itself +1 and threatens to take over a game quickly with card draw, but we still get some value even if it's removed. We play our Gaston as well for pretty much the same reason. At this point it's Be Prepared or bust, but Zefa does in fact have it. Luckily, we have plenty of resources to rebuild with on our turn. I play 2 threats and Benja as Lady Tremaine protection. On Zefa's turn, he plays 2 Merlins and is likely looking for his next Be Prepared. At this point, he's likely going to need at least 2 more to get back into this game. On our turn, we draw into yet another A Whole New World, and at this point I know that there's basically no way we can lose. Even 3 Be Prepareds likely wouldn't be enough for us to lose this game. We should easily be able to put lethal on board every single turn until the game ends. Zefa plays Friends on the other side, and Snake Mim, desperately looking for Be Prepared. He finds it just in the nick of time, but threats are going to keep on coming. On our turn, we load up the board once again and say, you better have another Be Prepared. Again, we can safely do this because we know that even if he does manage to find another Be Prepared, we can just draw a whole new hand again. Zefa's draw step plus a Merlin are not enough to find another Be Prepared, and we manage to win this game. I think this game really showcases the power of the deck when it gets a good draw with a Fishbone Quill into a whole new world. Oftentimes you can just play a huge number of threats and removal spells every single turn and just continue drawing new hands over and over again until the game ends. Overall, I think Blue Steel has the potential to be one of the top decks in the metagame, and I think that there are some changes I would make to the list I played in this video. I may make a follow-up at some point that goes over some of those changes. Alright, well thank you so much for watching. I know this is one of my longer videos, so hopefully you didn't get too bored. And yeah, if you liked it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time.